Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And the interesting thing about the workshop as we go forth and as people are in their heads, so to speak, and we know initially when we start out the workshop on that day one and these people coming from different places, different walks of life, different mindsets and all of that, and then we're all sitting in this room and they're sitting there listening to us, what we know is there is a speaker locked in every one of those people. And the key thing is, again, to be redundant, the challenge is to find the key. And we don't necessarily always know what that key is. The word or phrase or atmosphere or attitude or whatever it is that begins to turn that key and to unlock that power voice that has been there only internally. Because guess what? We talk to ourselves all the time. So we're talking about, oh, I'm not a speaker. Yeah, you are a speaker, but you've just spoken to yourself the majority of your life. But that's where here's the deal. We believe in creating a safe place for the speaker in you to come out and to be revealed. Listen to this, Dan. Without judgment or condemnation from those that are on the outside hearing that voice. And when people feel it's safe to allow that voice, that person that's been hidden in, that person that they know they are, that power voice that is just residing down on the inside and has been stuffed down there too long, once they begin to creep through the door and allow that person to come out without condemnation or judgment, that's when transformation begins, and it continues to grow through the entire experience until that person leaves there knowing much more about who they are, what they have, and why someone should care.
Wow. What you said is absolutely so true, that we are always speaking to ourselves. Our minds are always 100% full of thought. That means nothing else can come in. And for some of us, I call it the echo chamber of the mind. We throw a thought out and it bounces off the other side and it comes right back to us. And once we allow that thought to escape into a safe environment, all of a sudden there's room for a different thought. And a different thought leads to a different perspective. And a different perspective leads to change.
There you go. There you go. And in Houston, because that is the freshest memory, of course, we're going to talk about a workshop coming up here June 26th in California, Southern California. But a few weeks ago in Houston, where Dr. Deaver Daltrey was the host for the workshop, the Total Speaker workshop, we were able to it was such a joy and a privilege to watch the transformation process that took place in that room. And again, we had people from all different walks of life. And when the crescendo came at the end of the workshop and that showcase was taking place, Dan, I don't know about you, but I was looking up there listening to those people, and I was saying, wait a minute, hold it. Now, I know that is the same person that showed up sitting there looking timid and locked in and shut down and closed in, standing up there shining and expressing a person that was always in there, but finally got to the point to where they were willing to break through the threshold of fear and allow that light, the light of who they really are, to shine. And people were blessed tremendously, and value was added to everybody in the room from every single one of the speakers. And we had 10 people that showcased themselves that night that Les Brown was in Houston. And when we see things like that happen, we know that's not something that just happens in Houston. That's something that can happen in the lives of each and every person that is on this call tonight.
Dwight, the other part of that, is the important part for all of us for speaking, was, that those 10 people got up there. They started, as you said, very timid, very scared. A couple of them said, I only came as a favor to Deaver. I'm not even sure why I'm here. And in the end of the next day, they were up on stage giving away the gift of themselves. And if when you looked at the audience, I was up in the front with holding the timer for the speaker and also looking at the audience. It was amazing to me how deeply those gifts were received. And each speaker, there were different people who responded to the speakers because they were saying things that they needed to hear. They were unlocking part of their prison door that they had put themselves in. And now they were sitting there thinking, now that they've opened this door for me, am I going to close it and lock it back up, or am I going to step out myself?
That's right. Am I going to throw away the key and keep it moving? Okay. So that's that. I think that, again, that's a rewarding thing. And when we talk about some of the stories we heard, some of the things we heard, Dan, you know how we'll go kind of walk from table to table, and you'll pick up a little sound bite of somebody's story as they're sharing with the people around their table. And I remember walking next to Danny Wynn's table, and he's a councilman. I mean, a sitting councilman there in the city of Houston. So we had all levels of people in that room. But when I heard the sound bite of him talk about being coming from Vietnam and having such a passion and a desire for freedom that he and his father were willing to be on a fishing boat, a small fishing boat with 72 people. He said they were laying in this boat like sardines trying to get to America now, and pirates had overtaken the boat. And I mean, I don't want to tell his whole story because he may be here in June to tell it for himself, but the idea there of all of the adversity. But the thing that really impacted me most, when he talked about the thing that drove him, the why. You know, Nietzsche said, if you know the why for living, you can endure almost anyhow. What they endured for this intangible principle called freedom. And what they were willing to give up, what they were willing to risk for what we over here take for granted. And when you ask him now, was it worth it? He would unequivocally tell you absolutely and positively, yes, it was worth it. So when we hear and experience those kinds of stories, knowing that story can bless millions of people around the world if they would hear and capture the essence of having such a passion and a desire that you are willing to do whatever it takes to get what you need to get out of life and to accomplish what you are on this planet to accomplish. And those are the kind of people that we have on this call tonight. I feel you, you feel me, you feel Dan and Stacy, and then we all are feeling up in here. But at the end of the day, after we get through feeling, what it's going to do, Seeley? What it's going to do?
Yeah. You're right. And you know, all of his experiences and all of our experiences are a gift. They're a gift. They're a gift from God. And if we take them back at the end of our lives, still wrapped, still bowed, unopened, undelivered, then we have failed to do what we were put on this earth to do. I mean, to me, it's that simple. You know, if we hold it inside while somebody else's ears are bleeding for that sound, and we do not speak it, I think we have failed. We have failed our fellow humans.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that doesn't have to be. It's about taking control of your life. Go ahead, Dan.
No, it doesn't have to be. You know, and you brought up Danny, and he didn't know he had a story. You know, he didn't, and he didn't even know how good his English is a second language. And I was walking past him. He stopped me dead in my tracks when he said, "I grew up in a place where I heard the sound of bombs exploding way more than I ever heard the sound of music."
Wow.
Whoa. He didn't even know what he said. And that's what coaching does. That's what, you know, I mean, the whole table stopped and said, whoa, in one sentence. In one sentence, he said, you know, wherever you come from, whatever you're going through, he said, I've been there. This is where I started, in one sentence. That's a storyteller.
That's exactly right. And when you come from that place And then I went to his office on that Saturday, and he's in a high-rise in a corner office condominium where you can see all of Houston as far as you can see, and you realize the gap between where he started and where he is. And if you don't think there's a story up in them hills right there, you got another thing coming. And I'm saying your story doesn't have to be even this thing where you got this big chasm or gap between where you were and who you are now. There are things that people experience that don't have to be all this highfalutin stuff. But the very fact that you're able to articulate, are able to be in tune and in touch with your emotions and be able to share that with feeling, power, and conviction, I'm telling you, we've learned from Mr. Brown over and over again as we have watched him work with people that have come to the workshops and to the trainings, and where they had a seemingly, even after we heard it, he would take their story, tell their story better than they do, but in the telling of it like that, he would illustrate that you can take something that's apparently has no value, no significance, no power, and it just depends upon how you frame that story, how you share that story, how you use emotional memory, how you use modulation and voice, and all of those kinds of things that can be learned by the speaker, that's going to take them to a place to where they can make impact and change multiple lives along the way.
You know, Dwight, I know we got to open up the call, but you said something that's very important, and I don't want people to get the misconception they have to have this story on the extremes, because most people aren't there. I went to a meeting one night and I heard a man say, "I never slept in a ditch. I never was late for work. I didn't leave my family. I didn't beat anybody. I didn't get arrested. I simply drank too much every day." And that statement has kept me sober for 27 years, because I never slept in a ditch. I was never late for work. I identified with him. It was a simple story, simply told to me, and it simply changed my life.
Absolutely. And that's the point of identification is not something that can be orchestrated. It's something that's either there or it isn't. But I'm saying, and we're saying, that there is somebody out there that can identify with where you are. And if not them identifying with where you are, there's a story that will be told to you that will connect with you on such a deep level that it will literally spark and trigger a transformation that could be lifelong in terms of its quality and its ability to change your life. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Right. Yes. All right. Well, we're looking at this time here, and they put us on a time clock up in here because, you know, Brother Dan and I, we can talk for another hour and a half at least, okay? So stay.
I probably will. We'll call each other and continue after this.
You better, I know we don't. I'll be calling you, my brother. Yeah, well, you better come get us up in here.
I didn't want you to stop because I know everybody that's listening is just intrigued by the way that you have used this total speaker workshop experience to help identify those stories that have been laying dormant and bringing them alive so that they can share that gift with the world is just incredible. Seeing what you do and knowing what you do and knowing the heart in which you do this work makes it even more amazing for me. So awesome. I mean, I was taking notes and listening, and I'm like, whoa, that's a good one. I wanted to jump in and say, somebody tweet that out. Put that one up on Facebook. Absolutely incredible. And I just want to ask you both a question before we open up the call to see if anyone has a comment or a question. When you're in this space of doing the work, and Dan, I think you said it so well, that not everybody wants to be a speaker or on a platform, and they shy away because that's initially what they're coming with. What would you say has been the one main joy in doing this work when you see the transformation? What clicks for you as you see people move out of this space of, I'm not Les Brown, I can't do that, and they move into, wow, I do have a story, and my story has value?
Well, you know, Stacy, somewhere along the line, I can't think of an example where someone didn't get an aha moment about their life. And really what it is that all stories have power. And the question is, who controls it? Does the story control you, or can you control the story? And I'm serious when I say this. I think that if we took a picture of people when they came to the workshop and after they got this moment, you would think that that picture was taken while they were on vacation 10 years prior. There's some weight that's lifted off of people. There's a freedom that comes to them. And it's just an amazing transformation. We get the biggest and best hugs. It's amazing. And it's not us. All we do is facilitate the process.
Absolutely. Dan, I'm telling you, brother, I could not have said it any better than that. Stacy, it's really not always sometimes what is said or articulated by the person after the transformation takes place. It's that physical change, the countenance lifting, and a certain twinkle that you see in a person's eye that you know it wasn't there when they first showed up. And here's the other piece to it. It's the kind of change that you know will be what I call just an eternal warping or changing of that person for the rest of their lives, and they're stretched out of something that we believe by faith that they'll never shrink back into.
Mm. Wow. That's a tweet, as Oprah would say. They will never shrink back into. That is powerful, and that is the power in story and the power in the work that we do. And the reason why everyone on this line is connected to Les Brown's Motivational Monday Night Call, because he has mastered the art of storytelling, and working with you in the Total Speaker Workshop, you've been able to transform so many lives. And I would love for you to just tell everybody how they can connect with the Total Speaker Workshop. You have one coming up, I believe, next month. So how can they find out more information about that?
Okay, I'll share that information, but let me say this while it's fresh on my mind. One of the reasons, Stacy, that I want to continue to support your work, and I'm not saying this for somebody to look at Dwight, forget that. But what I see is that you are capturing some of these young ladies in your group and in your work that you're doing, that you're going to be able to short circuit a lot of pain. You're going to be able to short circuit and deal with and resolve and get done with a lot of things that many women and men too carry all the way to their grave. So when I see you doing what you're doing, knowing you're a transformational instrument of transformation as well, that I know that there are going to be some stories that are going to shift, going to change, and like we said, they are never going to shrink back to whoever they thought they were, because the work that you're doing is going to bring out the true essence of who they are and the impact that they can make in life, and heaven will only be able to record the magnitude of change that's going to take place. So I had to say that because I believe in you and I believe in the work you're doing, and I know that the truth, the half the truth ain't been told yet in terms of what's going to take place. Now let me tell you about our workshop, okay?
Thank you, my brother.
I'm trying to tell you, we're going to have a workshop here in Moreno Valley, California, Southern California, and it's going to be June 26th and 27th at the Ayers Hotel, really nice venue. We used to be at another place. This is a much nicer, newer venue, a nice room set up there and everything, right next to the mall where y'all can get a little something to eat every now and then. So we're going to be there for 2 days. 2 power-packed days, Friday, all day Saturday, and into the evening Saturday night. And so we're going to be putting information up on the website. Save the date now. And if you want more information on an ongoing basis, you can text the word speaker, SPEAKER, text the word speaker to 55469. Speaker to 55469. Now, you might want to wait till in the morning to text that, or if you just want to get captured into our system so we can continue to keep you abreast of updates on the workshop, we can do that as well. But text the word speaker to 55469 for more information. And also information about our coaching programs and our 3 different options that we have for coaching, Dan and myself. you can go to totalspeakerworkshop.com, totalspeakerworkshop.com, and you can get information there. Just navigate yourself around through the site, and you'll hear testimonials, and also you'll be able to see some of the options in terms of our coaching experience.
Awesome, and we will repeat that again at the end of the call, and I want to thank you for your words. I need to talk to you offline and tell you what happened this weekend. I mean, all I can say is humbling to be used as an instrument, and lives continue to be changed when we walk in the destiny God has called us to, and that is what you and Dan are doing with Total Speaker Workshop. You're pulling out those stories, and that is what Les is doing by creating this platform that we can share this information and be a part of this motivational Monday night call. And all I know is that this world needs so many more. So I hope the voices that are on this line, you're not only listening, but thinking about ways you can invest in getting your story out. So if you can attend the upcoming workshop, it would be one of the best investments you can make by working with Dan and Dwight and helping to craft and pull out that story inside of you that the world is waiting to hear. So with that being said, I want to open up the lines for anyone who has a question or a comment for our D&D Solution Power Team, and you will be able to just state your name, comment, or question. And we ask that we have some new callers who just joined. This might be your first night, and you really received a nugget. There's a takeaway that you're going to move forward with. Let Dan and Dwight know how this call impacted you. So please stand by.
All callers are unmuted. All callers are muted and may unmute themselves by pressing *6.
Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, you can press *6 to unmute yourself if you have a question or a comment for Dan and Dwight.
Hello. Hello, guys.
Hi, Dan.
Hello.
Hello?
This is
Yes,
Myron.
I'm here. How you doing, guys?
We're good. How are you?
All right. I'm very blessed. Actually, I just want to say thank you guys for that wonderful message. It was definitely right on time with what I'm going through at this current moment as far as finding that story and the power of storytelling. So my question is, what if you feel as though you have too much drama or too many different elements that you want to incorporate into a consistent story? What if there are like too many different elements of like from the childhood to your adulthood?
Okay. What we do is we'll work with you and we'll help you to refine it and define it and narrow it down. And sometimes, like me, I have a lot of stories, as you were saying, and I got confused by that in the beginning because they kept telling me, you have to find your core story. And what worked for me was to find my core message. And once I found my core message, I found that I could use different stories at different times to deliver the same message. You don't have to tell your whole story all at once. Your story has to be appropriate to the audience that you're speaking to. And once you learn to do that, you'll find out it's not as difficult as you think it is.
Wow.
Absolutely. And the other piece of that is that many times when you have that much a preponderance of information and stories, and a lot of that is good content, then you may look at the possibility of turning your story into a book. Now, there are some people that they don't think about writing a book, but there are people that we've worked with. It's real clear that this person has the makings, the essence of something where they need to begin to go down to Staples, get them one of those 12-pad packs, and just sit down and start writing, or get on that typewriter and start working with their story. And what we're able to do is give you basically kind of a game plan for that process with this transformational thing we do called the Genesis, the journey, and the resolution of your story, using that as a framework and with the goal of putting a piece of work together that may eventually be a book or two or a trilogy of books, then that becomes something you can take away, and it becomes a model and a framework for you putting your work, taking it out of you and putting it out into the universe where many people can benefit from it. So thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Hey,
And
Dan.
and with you saying Genesis, I'll just say this one last thing and I'm going. I just recently learned this weekend that the first chapters in the Bible, Genesis is the first chapter. I just learned that actually spells a census is all translated from Hebrew. So look that up, guys. I just thought I would share that real quick.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, guys. This is Myron, and I really appreciate your message tonight. And when you talk about going back to age before age 5 or before age 12, that rang a strong chord with me. I was able to go back and get my 3rd grade report card, my 5th grade report card, my 7th grade report card, and trying to look at me. What is the makings of me? And I did that, and it's been a joy. And then I went back to a high school in the Washington Post, where, what did you score, what was your position? And I kind of measured up me being a crossing guard to the guy who was playing basketball, how I would hold my hands out and block out. So this is I thank you guys for validating what the Holy Spirit's allowed me to begin doing just a couple of days ago.
Absolutely. That's great.
So, yeah, thank you. And I really appreciate going back to infrastructure. I'm one of the fortunate few people who still know their childhood friends from elementary school. One visited me today. I said, by the way, God's hand is moving. So I thank you.
Well, clearly, yeah, go ahead, Dan.
You just made a good point. You are fortunate in that you know people from your childhood and that you can remember your childhood. There are some people out there that are reacting to a childhood they can't remember. And that's very difficult because they have the behavior, but they don't have the cause of the behavior. They're not able to get in touch with that. And so this is a process. And some people, once that comes out, it's a long time before you're ready to put it out to the public.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, I thank you. I thank you guys. But I was such an introvert. I met this one guy who said, we're going to sell newspapers to the Veterans Hospital. And he was such a great leader. And I went. And I opened up. A closed mouth won't get fed. And I learned. He taught me so much. And he was the beginning of me beginning to open my mouth.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying, and like Stacy would say, she hadn't shut up yet. I'm just anyway. Thank you.
You already know that, Myron.
I heard that. Thank you, guys. I'm going to be in touch with you.
Myron, just that little bit of story you just told about finding a mentor. You know how many young people need to hear that story?
Wow.
It's countless. It's countless.
Yeah, you're on to something really big, my brother. So just stay in that vein, and as you get these revelations and insights, they're not this not a benign kind of thing. There's supposed to be some action put behind it, and you just want to make sure you're walking in the path that God wants you to walk on. That's it.
I thank you. I'm recording this. I'm making copies of my report cards, the stats in the basketball, and I'm trying to see. I remember how my dad was out of my life. When he came into my life, I got a D in reading. I must have got my butt whipped because now I'm a voracious reader. I'll read anybody. So I'm seeing a pattern.
Okay, got it. Yeah, stay right there, my brother. You're up to something.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thanks, Myron. We can take one more caller because we have to get on another call. Is anyone else?
I'll go. Hi, you guys. My name is Andre, and I'm calling from Salt Lake City, Utah. And that also, that was some really revealing stuff. Thank you for that. Now, going back to our childhood, I remember, I don't ever remember anyone teaching me how to read. My grandparents just told me I just started reading one day when I was 3. I guess I started reading billboards on the side of the freeway or something. So, I already knew how to read and spell and stuff like that. And it seems like I just was able to teach myself everything, at a young age. So everything has always came really easy to me. And I'm just kind of at a spot in my life right now where it's like, if you don't know how to do something, then you can figure anything out. And I hear talk a lot about learning by faith and not by sight. And I mean, I would just be in the library constantly trying to read about everything, reading about how to, and not actually going out and doing it. So now I'm learning that that's not the way to do stuff, because then at a very, at that very early age. I think that just knowing how to read is like everybody expected me just to know how to do everything like right away. And I think that's how I've carried myself through my whole life. And I was just wondering what you guys would have to say about that.
Well, I'd say that it sounds like you're at a place of discovery and where you're open to new things and discovery, and you have been locked in to a certain degree for quite a bit of time in your life. And I'm simply saying the idea of being open to change and being receptive to things that are going to benefit you and allow you to come out and to express to a greater degree who you are. I'm saying, as I was sharing with Myron, that is the path to stay on. So you're on a good path. So now just, before you take anything back, add some more to it and just keep it moving in that direction. And I think you're going to be led into a place where you're going to really discover why you're on this planet and how the Creator wants you to make a difference before you leave this planet. Absolutely.
I wrote the same exact word down, discovery. And I also heard that you're wondering what is missing. And in to give you a metaphor of how I heard what you said was, you're a spectator up in the stands and you understand every rule of the game, but you're wondering what it's like to get on the field and actually play.
Wow. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, that's the perfect way to end it. Perfect way to end it. You want to get on the field and play at Total Speaker Work.
All callers are muted.
That was, flesh and blood ain't revealed at the day. He coming up in here with stuff like that. Dude.
I love it. I love it. That's how you know we are just addicted to this work that we do, because it just flows through our pores just as naturally as a river running down. So I tell you, Dan Smith and Dwight Pleasure, D&D Solutions, they are making it happen across this country with Total Speaker Workshop. Visit TotalSpeakerWorkshop.com. If you want to connect with Mr. Brown and be able to receive his information on a daily basis, just go on Facebook, and it's brown.less. You will see that we're close to 1 million, I think, on Facebook. So go ahead and find Les on Facebook so you connect with him. You can also go to lesbrown.com. You can also visit the Platinum Speakers and meet all of those voices you hear supporting this call each and every week at Les Brown Platinum Speakers Network. That's LBPSN.com. Les Brown Platinum Speaker Network.com. The letters, just spell that acronym out and you'll be able to connect with us. LBPSN.com. And you can find everybody and information on that website. We hope that you connect with us, follow us on social media, even on Facebook. There's a Les Brown Platinum Speakers group that you can join so we can stay connected, because clearly we're all cut from the same cloth, because we connect on this call every single Monday night, determined to make this our best year yet and to use our voices of hope as Mr. Brown has invested his time and energy in preparing this space for you every Monday night. So Dwight and Dan, thank you again, my brothers, for all you do, for who you are personally, being such a support to me and being my true examples of what it means to constantly work in the space of excellence. So I just want to say that publicly to the two of you, and thank you. And to all of the listeners, our first-time callers, thank you for being on the call tonight. We look forward to hearing your voices again. And this is Dr. Stacey N.C. Grant signing off. And as I said last week, I'll say it again, go hard or go home, baby. It's time to get on the field and play the game of the story of your life. Take care, everybody. See you next week. Same time, same place.
All right, Stacey.
Good night, everyone.